The first time I laid eyes on her, I knew this mission would be anything but ordinary. I was an
You look
interstellar
beautiful.
negotiator,
So do you.
sent to the luminous planet of Zifra Prime, a world bathed in twin suns and swathed in violet mist. My assignment was straightforward: broker a trade deal with the royal family of the Zifrans, a species known for their intelligence, strength, and unpredictably strong emotions. The moment I stepped off the shuttle, I felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon me. The palace sprawled across a plateau, its crystalline towers reflecting sunlight in fractal patterns. I was escorted to the royal audience hall, a vast chamber that hummed with soft energy. And there she was, the alien princess, Liara, in all her unearthly beauty. Her skin shimmered like molten silver, her eyes were deep pools of amber, and her presence radiated both command and vulnerability. "Welcome, Earth Envoy," she said, her voice melodic, yet firm. "You come on the eve of our peace celebration. Be mindful, actions, more than words, will speak here." I nodded, hiding the nerves twisting my stomach. Negotiations were one thing. Dealing with a royal alien princess was another entirely. The plan was risky, but necessary. To secure the deal, I had to assume a role far closer than any diplomatic pretense I'd attempted before. Liara had a history of mistrusting outsiders, especially humans. The only way to gain her confidence and the backing of her council was to pose as her husband temporarily during the festival that celebrated the unification of Zifra's twin moons. It was a ceremonial marriage, symbolic, yet binding for appearances. I swallowed my discomfort. Pretending to be her spouse would mean constant proximity, shared duties, and an unavoidable intimacy. But rules were rules, and my career, and perhaps humanity's access to Zifra's rare mineral resources, depended on this ruse. The ceremony. The palace's inner courtyard gleamed under the twin suns. Alien flora swayed rhythmically, as if in anticipation. Liara approached me, her gaze intense yet unreadable. "You understand the rules," she said softly, her voice a whisper I could feel in my chest. "This is a performance. Nothing more. Nothing less." I gave a curt nod. "Understood, Princess." The ceremonial garb was unlike anything I'd imagined. Silken fabrics that seemed alive, interwoven with luminescent threads, draped around both of us. The moment we stepped together onto the platform, murmurs rippled through the assembled Zifran nobility. Every gesture, every step had to be perfect. Every smile, every bow rehearsed. And for the first few hours, the pretense was manageable. Liara maintained her regal distance, her eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a predator, yet there was a strange curiosity in her expression whenever she glanced at me. I reminded myself constantly, this was an act, nothing more, the unplanned bond. But the universe, as it often does, had other plans. That evening, during the post-ceremony banquet, a sudden electrical storm engulfed the palace. Violet lightning danced across the sky, and the energy fields shielding the structure flickered dangerously. Guests panicked, seeking shelter, while palace attendants scrambled to stabilize the energy matrix. I found Liara standing alone on a balcony, her usual poise faltering as she clutched the railing. "The storm, it's not natural," she whispered, almost to herself. Without thinking, I stepped beside her. "Do you need help?" She glanced at me, and for the first time, her amber eyes softened. "Perhaps stay close. I do not wish to fall." And I did. I stayed. When the first surge of lightning split the sky, the balcony shuddered, and I instinctively caught her as she stumbled. My hands on her arms, her body pressed slightly against mine, I froze. Not because of duty, not because of the ceremony, but because, strangely, her warmth was grounding. The storm passed quickly, leaving the palace in eerie silence, punctuated only by distant thunder. Liara didn't pull away. Instead, she studied me, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You saved me," she said softly. "Not as a husband, not as a diplomat, but as yourself." That night, as we returned to our private quarters, the line between pretense and reality blurred. She spoke of Zifra's history, her fears, and the burdens of her crown. I shared fragments of Earth, carefully selected to reveal honesty without vulnerability. Each word wove a thread connecting us. Unexpected confessions. Over the next few days, I realized that pretending was harder than I'd anticipated. Liara was not just a princess. She was intelligent, compassionate, and surprisingly lonely. Her trust was fragile, yet she offered it in glimpses that felt dangerously real. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, she stopped abruptly. Her hand found mine, not ceremonially, but naturally. "Why do you hesitate?" she asked. I froze, caught between protocol and impulse. "Because this is all pretend," I confessed. "I am not truly your husband, princess. Everything I do is part of the act." She looked down at our entwined fingers, then back at me. "But sometimes pretending becomes truth. Do you not feel it?" Her question struck me more profoundly than I expected. I wanted to deny it, to retreat into logic, but my heart betrayed me. I did feel it. Every shared glance, every laugh, every quiet moment had sown feelings into my chest. The turning point. Then came the crisis. The palace's energy core, powered by the twin moon's unique resonance, was sabotaged. Without it, Zifra would fall into darkness, potentially killing thousands. The council suspected outsiders. Panic gripped the royal family. Liara turned to me, desperation in her eyes. "I trusted you when no one else could. Will you help me?" T was a test, one I could not fail. Together, we navigated the labyrinthine energy chambers, battling the volatile systems. Sparks flew, machinery groaned, and at one point, a section of the ceiling collapsed. I shielded her instinctively, and she clung to me, not as a princess to her guard, not as a ruler to a servant, but as someone who trusted implicitly. We stabilized the core, averting catastrophe. When we emerged, panting and soot-streaked, the council's suspicion had shifted. Liara looked at me, her eyes unwavering. "You are no longer pretending," she said. "Not to me." The confession. That night, in the glow of bioluminescent flowers in her private garden, Liara faced me. "I will not let go," she said firmly, her hand gripping mine. "Whether this was a performance or not, I choose this, choose you." I swallowed hard. The truth could not be ignored any longer. I didn't expect to feel this way, I admitted. I thought I could play the role, keep everything professional. But somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending. She smiled, that luminous, radiant smile that made my chest ache. "Then we are not pretending anymore," she whispered, leaning close. Her lips brushed mine, a soft affirmation that dissolved the walls I had built around my heart. It was real as the stars above and the twin moons reflecting on the palace lakes. The new dawn. In the days that followed, our relationship became the true focus of the kingdom, overshadowing politics and protocol. Liara declared our union genuine, surprising the council and the public. I was no longer merely a diplomat. I had become a partner, a confidant, and, unexpectedly, the one she relied upon above all others. Together, we navigated palace life, state affairs, and interplanetary diplomacy. But the most significant lesson was personal. Trust and love could emerge even from the most improbable circumstances. Pretending had brought us together, yes, but choosing each other, without pretense, made us inseparable. The ending, choosing reality over pretend. The final night before my departure from Zifra Prime, after what was supposed to be a temporary assignment, I stood beside Liara on the balcony overlooking the violet plains. The twin moons shone brightly, reflecting in her amber eyes. "You will return to Earth," she said softly, "and our worlds will be apart again." I shook my head, gripping her hands.
No.
"I was only pretending to be your husband, but I don't want to pretend anymore. I want us, to be real." Liara's eyes glistened with tears, but she smiled. "Then let it be real," she whispered. In that moment, the boundaries of diplomacy, duty, and fear dissolved. We embraced, not as actors in a political play, but as two beings bound by trust, love, and a shared journey that defied the stars themselves. The palace lights shimmered around us, the twin moons bore witness, and the once pretend union became an undeniable truth. For the first time in both our lives, pretending was no longer necessary because reality was far better than any role we could ever play. And so I stayed. Not as a diplomat, not as a visitor, not as a performer, but as Liara's partner, her chosen companion, and the one she refused to let go.